So, India is overpopulated, and let's talk about it. I will not take the name of the place, but once I went to a very touristy place. It's a fairly a small town, and when I got off the train, I was just looking around to take a cab or a three-wheeler, which is also called an auto. So in India, we also have a three-wheeler, which are auto rickshaws. So I was deciding to take that, and the minute I stepped out of the station, I was shocked. There were more than 10-15 men, either the cab drivers or the auto rickshaw drivers, who were just trying to tell me to get into their vehicle or take a ride with them. There was no scope of talking because they're just bombarding you with 100 questions. Where do you want to go? Or tell us the address, we'll take you. We'll charge you the least. And they wouldn't stop saying. And I'm just overwhelmed with suddenly this 15 people telling you that you come and take a ride with me. I will drop you to where you want to go, the place I had booked. And as I just took a step back to, get over this overwhelming feeling of suddenly being met with this rush of people, some of the drivers almost started fighting with each other, and then one of them just fell flat on the ground. And when he fell, somehow all the drivers then moved away. And then he got up, and I just asked him that, okay, maybe you can drop me. And when he was driving me to my destination where I wanted to go, he said, this happens every day. The minute one guest steps out of the train, there is a big fight between the auto drivers and the cab drivers that takes off, or a competition that takes off, that who will ride this guest to the guest house or the hotel where they're going. And then he looked at me and he said, it's not even worth it because I was paying him only 100 rupees for the ride. He said, now we are so many that nobody is making money. Increasingly in India, no matter what work you do, people are not making money because so many people are simultaneously doing the same work, and everybody is just taking very little money home. I believe it is high time for the administrator to realize we are amazingly overpopulated, and we shouldn't be so overpopulated, and population needs to be brought under control. So this is one. The other time I went to a place for sightseeing, and I remember No matter where I looked, somebody would scream loudly, "Taxi! Taxi!" And I would just look at them and say, "No, I don't want a taxi." And then it was just amazing that every 5 minutes or 6 minutes or 7 minutes, if you have walked or you have reached a certain turn, somebody would just scream, "Taxi! Taxi!" There are just so many people driving a taxi and are hardly making money. The whole day, at least 17 to 20 times, you will hear people screaming on top of their lungs, "Taxi! Taxi! Taxi!" Just because they want to make sure that you have heard them, that they have a taxi available should you need it. One, they're screaming on top of their lungs. Second, there are just so many that all you remember at the end of the day of the sightseeing is people screaming, "Taxi, taxi, taxi." That if you want to take a taxi, it's available. There are just so many taxi drivers suddenly in India. And nobody is making money, or people are barely making money. Once like this, I went to a place to see a fort, and it was a 5 kilometer distance from the last bus stop, and I decided to walk. So I walked, and after 1 hour I reached the fort. And I remember everybody was amazed. They said, "You walk till here? You walk till here? You walk till here?" I said, "Yes, what is wrong with walking?" And then there was a policeman who was standing around by somewhere in the fort. And he said, "Why did you walk? Why did you not take an auto?" I said, "Why should I take an auto when I can walk?" He said, "It's a long distance to walk. You should have taken an auto. When there are autos running, you should take an auto." I said, "No. If I'm fit and fine, I'm okay to walk. I need an auto only if I can't walk or I don't want to walk. It is not a default choice that I should take an auto and not walk. It is a default choice that I walk, and if I don't want to walk, then I take an auto. What is wrong with India?" It's because every last penny makes a difference and is a livelihood for that auto driver, for that taxi driver. And they piss you off everywhere you go sightseeing. Or you just feel bad for them that there's so many of them and they're just fighting for that small business. This is called being heavily overpopulated and nobody making money.